Someone go. Well, Sandy's there. Yeah. Good afternoon, and I'd like to welcome everyone here at Bounce Innovation Hub and all of you who are online via Zoom to today's Akron Rotary Club meeting. And today is one of those unusual days when all of the numbers line up. 2, 22, 22. So here we go. But we have a good meeting in store today. Kemp Boyd will be our speaker a little bit later from Love Akron. And we also have an induction today with another new member, Christine Curry from Open M. So at this time, I would like to invite our dear past president and past presenter from last week with Michael. I'd like to invite Sandy Narragon to lead us in our invocation.
Thank you, Steve. So this prayer is called A Prayer for Peace and Love by Silfath Pinto. She is a holistic health and wellness expert, and I just loved this. May men and women around the world rise up together and pray for peace everywhere, every day. May God give us the wisdom to see past color and religion. May we remember that we are all one, that our differences make us stronger. May we welcome our brothers and sisters with an open heart and loving spirit. May our hearts be filled with love, joy, and peace. May we look at one another and see our beauty, our truth, and our divinity. May we all have compassion for those who are suffering, sending them love, light, and healing. May men and women around the world rise up together and pray for peace everywhere, every day. Amen.
Amen. And thank you for that prayer, Sandy, especially in light of what's going on in the world today, as we await to see what's happening with Ukraine and Russia. And your prayer was very appropriate. Now, if you would join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And as you're saying, if you join me in the four-way test, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships, and will be beneficial to all concerned? Thank you, and you can be seated in here. All right, Miss Karen Herdlick, do we have any visitors today? Just our speaker and our inductee. Okay. Oh, go ahead.
Okay. Oh, Christine's being inducted. There's a spot for a badge.
Can she
All
please
right.
use the mic? We can't hear her.
She just finished up, so we should be pretty good here. All right. Do we happen to have online, and I'm going to need someone, if they can watch, maybe you can, Cheryl. Do we happen to have any Rotary ambassadors today? Anybody in the room?
No one online.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, we've got plenty of time today. So I do want to take the opportunity to see if anybody is happy. Do we have anybody who's happy today? David Hall.
Thank you, Steve. I have $2 happy dollars. Camera. Okay. I have $2 happy dollars. First one is just happy to be here, I guess. Number two, I'm still looking for and offering volunteerism opportunity for the Akron Food Bank. It is March 16th, 4:30 to 6:30, and it's going to be followed by dinner at either Arche's or Lock 15. So depending on the number of people we get. So if you have any interest in signing up, please see me. If you still want to join us for the social afterwards, you can do that as well. So thank you. Anybody else happy?
Two people online when you're ready.
I gave $5 I'm happy because, and you probably talked about this last week, but I wasn't here last week. I was able to attend the 100 Black Men mentoring conference that Rotary had sponsored, and it was really an excellent program, and I think it was awesome for us to be involved. And I was gone last week, and I had $50 because my stepmother had her hip replacement fail, but she had surgery again, and now she thinks she needs to be bionic.
Thank you, Karen. Anybody else happy in the room? Jenny's getting hers out here. And then we'll go online.
$100 because for the first time, I can see my sidewalk.
That's a great happy dollar. Thank you, Jenny. All right, online, we have John Daly and Dr. McGregor.
Sure, I have $5 happy because I got to meet with John today, and I will tell you, he's looking very dapper. He didn't, and many of us didn't understand the final word on whether John could be moving to the club in real time. And we do have permission from Concordia and from his son that we can bring him. His son wants us to pace it once a month. John was sure it was today, and he looks dapper. It's not, camera's not good enough, but he's got his corduroys and his traveling shoes and a matching shirt. So I'm happy I get to appreciate that.
Very good, thank you. Dr. Rob.
I think there's someone else up there as well.
Anybody else? Cheryl Warren. Cheryl, you happy?
Okay, yes, I am. I am very happy for Brian Casarco today, who stepped in to get everything set up for us. Since I had to be at home with a very sick dog. I really appreciate him stepping up and helping out. And Sandy Narragon and Doug House Connect both have their hands up. So I'm in for $5 happy, Mela. Please send me my bill.
Thank you, Cheryl. Sandy, can you?
Yes, I have $10 happy because I am thrilled that my friend Chris Curry is going to be inducted today. And if I'd have planned a little better, Chris, I'd be in the room with you. I'm sorry I'm not there in person, but I'm very glad I get to watch it online. Congratulations and welcome.
Very good. Thank you, Sandy. Dr. Doug.
I was gonna do 5, but since Sandy upped the ante to 10, I'll have to do 10 because I also wanted to welcome Chris. I'm having an awkward semester because I teach until noon, except for today when the University of Akron is having President's Day the day after everybody else, because that's the way we roll at the University of Akron.
Very good, Dr. Doug.
We have Nathaniel Billow also.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone.
Happy dollar day.
Yeah, I donated all my money to the Chili Open, so I only had $2. Those are two happy
Okay. Very good.
for our two best restauratarians, Dr. Rob McGregor and Mr. John Daly.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else happy online? We're in the room. Oh, Christine.
I'm gonna do $10 happy in honor of my friend, Sandy Narragon. They missed, I don't know, I was distracted when they were doing it previously, but anyway, $10 happy to my dear friend, Sandy Narragon. We've been friends since we were teenagers, so, you know.
Akron
All
Garfield.
hail to Sandy. I love you, you know that. Just want to say I'm happy today because I get to see Sandy, and more importantly, or just as important, I just met with my mentor, Russ Seibert, over at the university. I had to do a trade-off. I had to get something to him, and we met in the parking lot over at Infocision Stadium. And I also gave him 2 slices of my homemade lemon pound cake so that I could razz him a little bit without getting in trouble. So happy to see Russ, happy to see Sandy and all of you.
Thank you. He was happy.
Yeah, I'll give $2 happy for a great weekend at the All-Star events, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday night. Worn out, but anyways, it was fun whole weekend.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else? Julie Brandon. Julie Brandon's lip and happy.
I'm happy because I'm really happy to see Kemp Boyd in the house. So thank you for being with us today.
Good, thank you, Julie. Steve?
All right, I'm also happy. I have $2 happy, and they are for our guests today. You're gonna be hearing from Kemp Boyd in about 5 to 10 minutes, and I've known Kemp for the last about 3.5 years. And one thing about Kemp is he is an encourager, and you're going to be encouraged today, no matter what he's talking about. He could read Mary Had a Little Lamb and you'd be encouraged. But additionally, too, also for today's inductee, Christine Curry, and her leadership at Open M. We've been involved as a club with a number of events at Open M over the last few years, and John Margita actually had been president of the board for a while. And when Mr. Titus left, when Bob left, they were in search of a new CEO, and Christine has just done an amazing job. And she's been in leadership here in the city for what, 15, 20 years now? Did you say? Something like that. Okay, so, okay, but she's very, very well known, and we are fortunate to have such a wealth of leadership here. Additionally, Karen mentioned a week and a half ago being at the meeting at the Akron Public Library, the annual meeting that 100 Black men had, and I was also privileged, as I shared last week, to be there. Well, on Saturday, this last Saturday, I went through my interview process, and I have been inducted as a member with 100 Black men. And so I'm very much excited about what the future holds for our organization with the Rotary Club, with 100 Black men, with Love Akron, with everything that's going on, Heart to Heart, and so many outstanding organizations that we have in the city. And it's really a time to seize the day, to spread healing and love, and to draw on the resources that we've been blessed with as a city. And that is happening. So, and also too, you know, when we talked about Rotary ambassadors, I do need to step back because Doug Cole and I met with Mike Gallucci, with Mella, and with Dan last Thursday at Bo's Grill, and we had the meeting of the 3 presidents of the 3 legs of the foundation, the camp, and the club. It was a very, very fruitful meeting, and we're actually going to be having a coming together of our boards. Each of those legs are going to be coming together on May the 11th, I think was the date that we came up with, and I believe that's a Thursday. And we're going to do it in the afternoon so as not to dig into people's evenings. So you'll be hearing more about that. On top of that, you've heard us mention and refer back to a meeting we had about 2.5 months ago that was entitled Be the Match. And that surrounds being a bone marrow donor. And it's simply, there's a registry throughout the country. And in order to get people into that registry, you need to be between 18 and 40. And it's a simple process of just swabbing the cheek to see if you would be a match for someone. And then you go into the registry. And then when the needs arise, you may be called upon to be that donor. Now, what's interesting about the technology today is that it's a process of taking your blood and running it through a filtration system. It's not going in and literally operating on you and taking your bone marrow. But all that being said, the beauty of this is, if you recall, if some of you were here, there has been a pretty significant difference in what's available in the bank, as it were, of donors. And so for the white population, we have an 80% chance of coming up with someone who would be a match for a blood disease that we might have. And then I think for Indian and Southeast Asians, it was something in the 50 percentile. But for the Black population, that number dipped all the way down to 28%. And so we had Dale Smith, who is, I believe he's going to be following Julie Brandel as an upcoming district governor. But Dale Smith is out of the Mentor Rotary Club. And what they've done is they have actually had that bone marrow drive a couple times and been very, very effective. And so we're looking at April 12th through the 14th. And Dr. Doug, who you heard from earlier, has been very instrumental with Ann Jorgensen and a number of others. And we're putting together how that's going to look at the University of Akron. So it's going to be 3 days from April 12th through April 14th. We're looking at 4 locations that we're working on solidifying throughout the campus, and then being able to have some fun there with it. Maybe have Zippy, maybe have the steel drum band and so on and so forth. But looking to impact those numbers and bring those percentages up. And then possibly be able to create a prototype that could then be used at Cleveland State or Kent State or Bowling Green or Ohio State or wherever. But Mike Shearer has agreed to help us with the Beacon Journal, and Laura Smiley with her radio stations. And so you're going to be hearing more about that. And it's going to be a worthwhile, meaningful event that runs over those 3 days. And the beauty of it is, folks, is we're going to have the opportunity to save lives. So are there any other announcements that anyone in the room would like to make, or anybody on the line? Cheryl, do you see anybody?
No, sir, I see no hands up.
Okay. One last item is I want to go over some Rotary membership anniversaries and a few birthdays, and then I'm going to introduce our speaker today. So Pat Weimer has a 2-year membership. Steve Bossert, his first year, it's official now. Michael Shearer has been a Rotarian for 20 years, and Catherine O'Malley, 6 years. Chris Richardson, 3 years, and Mario Mastroianni for 20 years as well. So congratulations to all of you. And as far as birthdays go, I'm going to go back 1 week and pick up a couple folks here. Jim Redmond actually had a birthday a week ago today, along with Dan Speda and then Patty Graves. And Thane, if you're still on, do you have any idea how old Patty would be? Do you know? She's 92. Wow, wow, that's awesome. Well, congratulations, Patty. And then Gina K. Maddox had a birthday on the 19th of February. And today, Metis Corporation, if he's still there, Ben Heckerman's birthday. Is Ben still working there? Okay, so he's working in Cleveland now, but Ben Heckerman, it's his birthday today. Stu Perry has a birthday on the 24th, Rich Fry on the 25th, and our beloved Bill Manby has a birthday next Monday on the 28th. So, and hallelujah, February is coming to an end. Julie.
Training. Oh, sorry.
We have not. Please tell us.
Okay, so in relation to Ohio, All Ohio Pets, which is March 11th through 13th in Columbus, Linda Farkas will be getting her training to be your next president. And there's a huge outreach for blankets for children that are in some type of trauma-induced care. So you may want to bring those blankets so that Linda can take, or I can take them down to the next, to that meeting in Columbus. So if you want to just start thinking about on Tuesdays, bringing a blanket, or you could just donate $10 and that'll buy a blanket for a child. You can also make these blankets, but I don't know who has time to sit around making blankets. But if you want to just bring that on Tuesdays until, I guess the last day would be March 8th, I think. So thanks.
Well, thank you for sharing. All right, at this time, I'd like to invite Christine Curry to come on up. And I'll invite our sponsor. Oh, I'm here. Come on up. Come on up. Christine, your proposal was reviewed and found to be in accordance with our club's constitution and bylaws. And just want you to know, and I think you do know, because we've had numerous conversations and you know a number of these dear men and women, that the foundation of Rotary is service. And our principal motto is service above self. And it's the goal of this club and Rotary clubs worldwide to encourage and to foster this wonderful ideal. You've been approved for membership because not only do we believe, but we know you to be interested in upholding this ideal in spirit and in action. And we have real confidence that you will strengthen our club. Fellow Rotarians, I ask you to freely give your friendship and guidance to Christine to help make her membership meaningful and happy. I'd like you to please accept your official Rotary name badge and your Rotary pen. Oh, you have two. Okay, well, I'll hold on to one. And as you can see, they include the Rotary wheel, which is the international symbol of Rotary. And please wear it with pride. So Akron Rotarians, please join me in welcoming Christine Curry, the world's newest Rotarian. And we have a little tradition here. We'd like to ask you just to share a little bit about yourself with us. And as I mentioned, a lot of these folks know you, but some of them don't know just how wonderful you really are. So here we go.
Thank you so much. Wow, I thought all I had to do was get pinned today and I could go sit down. I guess I first learned about Rotary in high school. I think I went to they invited some high school students from Garfield to come to a Rotary meeting, and I knew it was about service. And obviously, as a high school student, I was pretty involved along with Sandy Naragon. I was a cheerleader. I was an office helper and maybe did some student council stuff, and knew the importance of service to community and just being a part of helping make things better for everyone else. And one of my fonder memories of high school is on Fridays the cheerleaders would sell ribbons. I went to Akron Garfield, so Garfield Rams, yay, go Rams. But anyway, I would sell ribbons, and oh, she must be a Kenmore person. Yeah, okay, we forgive you. But anyway, I remember I would go down to where the special needs class was in the basement, which I think is so wrong. But anyway, hopefully they've changed that. But I would go down and sell all my ribbons, and they thought it was cool that the captain of the cheerleaders came down and would sell them ribbons. But it wasn't about being captain of the cheerleaders or being Toro, the cheerleader, or anything like that. It was about community and about making sure everyone in the school building felt a part of going to those games and being a part of the cheering section. That's all it meant to me. It didn't mean anything else. There was no class system. It was about, we were all Garfield Rams. We all wore maroon and gold, and we all loved Martin Chapman. And so it's with a lot of respect for what Rotary stands for, and just feeling humbled about this whole, I don't know, circle of life. And just want to say thank you so much. And service is important. It's important to make everyone feel a part of life and a part of humanity. And it's all of our goals, hopefully, in life to welcome everyone, regardless of where they come to you and where they stand. So thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Christine. And the organizations that she is heading up, Open and is just an amazing, fabulous house of healing in the inner city. And so we appreciate the fine work you're doing there. So now I'd like to invite our speaker up. It's Mr. Kemp Boyd, and he is the Executive Director of Love Akron. And I love how his resume reads here, because this is how this man is wired. Come on up, brother. He starts by talking about his family. And if you've ever seen him on a Zoom call, oftentimes his little ones will sneak in. And you would think he might be irritated, but he is always so gentle and so loving and so kind, it's a joy to see that, my brother, to see that, you're honoring the integrity of those little hearts. So, but Kemp has been married for 16 years to Stacy. Together, they have 6 beautiful children, and he has over a decade of leadership experience and a real passion. That's a word that is very appropriate for him, of motivating others to be the change that Akron needs based upon the noun to verb mindset. He's a diligent networker and connector. He's forged relationships across the city of Akron over the last many years with churches, nonprofits, and leaders in government to profit organizations alike. His mission is to cultivate those around him to reach their full potential, including the city of Akron, where he serves as Executive Director of Love Akron. So, brother, it's nice to have you here today. We look forward to whatever you have to share with us. And so, God bless you.
Appreciate it, brother. Thanks, man. Good afternoon, everybody. Am I allowed to walk, or do I got to stand right here? You can walk. Oh, man. That's just kind of how I do. I just came from speaking to about 60 high school students, so I'm energized.
We can't hear him or see him.
Because they are, they're just, we talk about be the change that Akron needs, and it's not just something that's on a sweatshirt or a t-shirt, but for me, I think it's become a way of life. And what I believe that I've had in Love Akron is the platform to be able to do those types of things. So Love Akron is an organization that's been around now for about 26 years. Our founding executive director was Pastor Mark Ford. I've been in leadership of Love Akron now for the past 2 years and 5 months. And so it's just been a great time off. Thanks, appreciate it. So it's been a great learning opportunity for me to really learn and understand. So this doesn't fall. To really learn and understand what's happening, what's going on in Akron. So I've had great people that have supported me throughout this process. One being Doug Cole, who's my friend, brother, mentor, and just kind of all things to me when it comes to understanding how to navigate some of the circles here in Akron. So Doug, very appreciative for you, brother, and just what you've been to me. And so that's a great thing. Christine, congratulations. My friend Julie, who is thumbs down, but she loves Coach Boyd. So I am the head football coach over at Kenmore Garfield High School, which is Rams. So the great thing about that is that I'm not from Akron, so I just coach ball, and I just love kids. So I'm not gonna venture on whose side is better or anything like that. It's all about the kids. But what I do want to talk to you just a little bit about is this concept that I think I had to learn when I came to Love Akron. And we live in 2 different cultures in our society. And I'm not talking about race or ethnicity, but I'm talking about the being culture versus the doing culture, okay? The being and the doing, and those are 2 different things. And the lesson that I learned when I first came to Love Akron, where I went and talked to multiple people about, hey, give me your impressions of Love Akron. What's your concept of it? And if Love Akron went away, would you care? And so they kind of looked at me sideways, like, aren't you already in the position? I said, yes, but I need to know that. Because I need to know where we are as an organization. Well, luckily, nobody said that, hey, Love Akron, if it went away, I wouldn't care. So that's a great thing, right? However, what I learned was everybody would say, we just don't know, outside of the big breakfast that you have, we just don't know what Love Akron does, right? And if you hear that multiple times, that we don't know what Love Akron does, what's the first thing you're gonna do? Well, you say that we gotta go find something to do, right? But at the same time, if you lead on that mindset, you start to get kind of out of place or out of rhythm or out of alignment. And that's what was happening to me as a new executive director here in our city. I got out of alignment very early because I felt like I was trying to appease people so that they understood and they loved the organization like most of the nonprofits here. But here's what I understood. Love Akron is not O&M. It's not any other nonprofit. We were different. And we had to really relish in what made us different. And so what we established is our being and our doing statement. And so our being statement is that, hey, we're a Christian-based organization. We will never, ever stop being that. But we're also an intersectional hub, and we're looking to unify the colors, cultures, and congregations that can help Greater Akron to thrive. And then we do this through our doing statement of saying, hey, we are the great connector and convener that leads to collaboration with change makers like yourself to make a collective impact. And so I said, hey, that's what we're going to do. That's our doing, that's our being and our doing statement. Now, when we talk about being and doing, there's two different things here what I want to say. In the doing culture, everything's about high achievement, high accomplishment. Think about it. It's even what we ask people. It's what you asked each other when you came in today. You said, how are you doing? Which triggers a mechanism in our mind of almost, hey, well, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing this, I'm doing these things, which is almost kind of like a little bit of achievement, high productivity. But in the being culture, it's really different. It's really more about relationships. It's a lot more relational. And how do I kind of meet people where they are? It's even the question that we ask in the being culture. We say, hey, how are you? Which has a totally different mindset to it, because really, we're really concerned about the person. And so we've taken this attitude into Love Akron. So how do we ask our neighbor? How do we ask other organizations that are out here doing really great things, but we just simply stop and say, hey, how are you? How do we meet you exactly where you are? And we believe in meeting you where you are. It's now our responsibility to help you to get you where it is that you want to go. See, that becomes, I believe, what our secret sauce is as an organization. And so the young people that I just met with, we're meeting them where they are, because right now, as most of us know, in our society, especially going back to 2020, and I'm not talking about the pandemic that is COVID. What I'm talking about is I'm talking about the homicide rate within our society, especially with young people ages 15 to 25. And that hit an all-time high in 2020. And guess what? It hasn't slowed down. I was in a telephone conversation a couple of weeks ago with our chief of police, Steve Milet, and he said, Kemp, we already have 5 homicides already. In February, it just started. There were 2 in my community in Kenmore, 2. And so for me, being the change that Akron needs is not just a clever mantra or a slogan. It has to become a way of life for me. And here's the thing, I'm not putting the responsibility, or I'm not outsourcing the responsibility on anybody else. Not on Mayor Horrigan, not on the chief of police, not on anybody. But if I want to be the change that Akron needs, it first starts with me. It first starts with me looking at the person in the mirror and say, what are you willing to give up and what are you willing to do in order to be that example of what that looks like? And so each and every day I have the opportunity to coach young men between the ages of 14 to 18. Every week I get the opportunity to meet a young man who I coached 2 years ago who is right now locked up for murder. Yes, am I disappointed? Absolutely. But what I realize is that that young man needs me now more than he ever did. He's only 19. So he's at least going to be in for the next 10 years of his life. So being the change that Akron needs is not just, again, it's not just something I say, it's not just a hoodie I'll wear, but I really have to dig in and say, hey, what is that going to mean, not only for me individually, but what does that mean for our organization at Love Akron? Because before we were called the Love Akron Network, and it was really great, and it was really good, but I said, man, it sounds like a big structured building to me. It sounds like a noun. And I said, I believe love is a verb. So how do we go from being a noun to a verb? How do we go from being what it is that our city needs and saying, I just don't want to necessarily love people that believe the way I believe, but I want to love people. And what does that look like? A funny story is that I'm not from Akron. I'm originally a Southern young man. And so when I came to Akron, I hated Akron. I wanted to run from Akron. And I couldn't wait to get back down south, especially for days like we have today, right? But the reason why I put my children and my family on my bio first, and that's what you hear first, is because they're the reason why I love Akron. They're the reasons why I love Akron. I found my wife here. All my children are born here. This is now home. I get to lead, by the grace of God, an organization that's called Love Akron, to where I get to meet great people like you all to talk about, hey, how can we be the change together that Akron needs? We want to help to eliminate all the different silos that we build up from one another. And how do we do that? So it's this coaching team approach. Because even in the city, they just call me Coach Kemp because I'm constantly coaching. And I didn't realize that I was going to be the head coach of a city, but that's okay too. I'm accepting of that challenge. But here's what I know and understand. In order for things to be the way that we all believe that it can be, it's going to take every single one of us. It's going to take every single one of us to kind of lay aside some of our isms, some of our doubts, some of our fears, and start to get comfortable being uncomfortable. And those are challenging things because we're used to kind of being around people who make us feel good and who make us feel comfortable. But man, really the challenge is that, man, we don't want to do that. We don't want to live in that type of environment or city. And so going back to 2020, some of the things that we've done, because not only did the pandemic happen, but man, there was this racial and ethical tension that happened. So man, we didn't really know how to really deal with one another. There was a lot of violence and things that were happening going on. And so now it's like, well, man, hey, how do we come across some of these racial lines just to kind of, again, meet each other where we are, not to change one another, not to get each other to hey, understand, maybe and be on my side, but how do we grow the bridge of understanding with one another without it being a form of accusation? To where, because I'm having a conversation as a Black man and to a group of white people, where I don't want white people to think that, man, I think that you're a racist, because I don't. But here's what I know. If we don't start to shift things in our community, and if we don't start having these uncomfortable conversations about race, we're just going to keep on going down the same thing. We're just going to keep cycling. It's just going to cycle again and again and again. And I believe that's not what any of us want. We all live here for a reason. We're all thankful that we live here. But let's try to be the change that Akron needs. We have an opportunity in Love Akron to really love APS and all those high school students, to where the group that I met with were a group of student athletes who were identified as leaders in their school. And because of the hurt, the harm that they're experiencing in their school and their community, there's this leadership program that's been in place. We're now partnering with Akron Public Schools to say, hey, how do we meet those young people where they are to really bring and build about the leadership capacity that they need as student athletes? And they're not perfect. They make mistakes. They do things that's not right. But here's the thing. We're willing to make a financial investment into them. Because here's the thing. They didn't feel necessarily empowered. It's like, yeah, we got ideas. We got things that we can do. But they didn't understand that, first of all, they were the resource. Second of all, they said, but we need resources to do some of these things. And I looked at them and said, hey, great, man, we'll go from the same spot because I need resources too. But because there was people in this community that said, hey, Coach Kemp, tell us about what you're seeing that's going on, that's happening with our young people. Tell us about the violence. What is it that we need to do? I said, first of all, we need to uplift their voice. We don't need to come at them and tell them what they need to be doing. They hear that all the time. But how do we gather with them to hear from him, to hear from them what they're seeing and what it is that they would like to do, and the plans and the thoughts and the strategies that they have? Because here's what I know. They're the ones that are going to have to walk it out. It ain't going to be Coach Kemp, and it ain't going to be anybody else in this room. What we have to do is we have to get behind them to push them to the greatness that lies deep within them. And we have to help to promote that from within them. But the only way that's gonna happen is that we give them a voice, that we let them talk, that we give them a microphone, we let them present their ideas and their strategies. And so because that was just a fleeting thought that I had, and an idea, there was an organization, a foundation that says, hey man, we want to help to fund that. Would you and Love Akron mind leading that charge? I said, absolutely. And so I say that because we got to be careful about the things sometimes that we say, because sometimes somebody might just believe us, and they might just give us the resources that we need in order to walk out some of these things. And I don't say that to brag on Love Akron, because it wasn't Love Akron, but it was the heart of other philanthropists and foundations in our community that said, hey, we want to be a help and a resource to young people. And they just simply tapped into a person that's around young people all the time to say, hey, are there other Coach Kemps out there? And I said, absolutely. They are out there. But just like those coaches, and just like the coaches, like the kids, don't think nobody's ever listening or hearing. So my encouragement, I think, for all of us is not only to be the change that Akron needs, but there's a starting point for that. The starting point is, man, just be a listener. And I'm really glad that Julie's here today, because Julie is a part of, if you will, my story and my testimony, because Julie, for about 3 or 4 years, was my booster club president for our football team. Mind you, Julie didn't have a kid that played on the team. Mind you, that most of the players on my team didn't even look like Julie. But Julie loved them as if they were her own, and she took care of them. Now that's a small thing. That's a really small thing in the grand scheme of things. And Julie doesn't even know the impact that she made, just being there and running the concession stands and doing all the stuff that she was doing. But that thing that she did propelled something, because she saw something and she did something. We all can sit on the bench and complain about what's happening going on, or we can choose to get involved into the game, right? And we can choose to say, hey man, we want to make a difference from the platforms that we have. What I encourage you is leverage your platform. Your platform, your gifting, your resources, guess what? They're really not for you, but they're for you to give away. I know that's a crazy thing, but I just believe that. The gifts and callings that I have in my life are not for me. It's for me to give away into my community. That's what helps my community, my family, the kids that I coach. That's what helps for me to be the change that they need. It's because when I learned that it's not about me, but it's really about them. And so I think that we all can agree on that. Now, my challenge or my call to action, and this is what I do. So if you want to hear more, know more about what we're doing at Love Akron, I have some of these, I can leave them here. I probably should have went more into Love Akron, but I didn't. I just spoke what was on my heart, so I hope that's all right. But I can always give you this stuff and sell that, and you can see that. Because these are ways, we call them fields of love. And this is a seed that we're sowing into the fields here in Akron, that we believe that we need to shine love on. So I have this information. My partner back there, Ethan, man, he can pass those out and hand them out to you, so you all have them. But I'm really encouraged. I'm encouraged by what I saw before I got here with the young people that I spoke to, and their heart to want something to be different in their city. Because they're going to be the ones, long after we're gone, they're going to be leading this city. And I'm really proud about it's going to be in good hands. They have a desire to do something different. That's what I have today. I appreciate and honored and humbled just to stand before you and get to meet all you good people. Steve, thanks so much, brother. You know how I feel about you, man. I didn't know if there's any questions, comments that anybody may have for me, please. Oh, man.
Terrence?
She asked a question first.
You
The last thing I
know,
go.
I am always going to ask a question. So, Kemp, I want you to talk about Jedi Council and connection versus collision tomorrow.
Yep.
Even though I don't want people coming in, but I want to tell Rotary about the connection there that Tom Knauer and I had an opportunity to be with the Cleveland Rotary in an educational experience on cultural humility by the author, which spurred the opportunity for us to bring that to the Jedi Council. and connect the author with Kemp. So I think it's a really cool field that you guys are in, but there is a little connection there from Rotary.
Absolutely, I appreciate that, Karen. And so tomorrow we'll be bringing back and relaunching what we call Connection versus Collision. We launched it in June of 2020 after the George Floyd murder. And, you know, it's called Connection versus Collision, the black-white conversation. And we don't do it from an accusatory perspective. We do it from a perspective of just giving perspective as far as terms and what things mean and how they affect, you know, good, bad, or indifferent. And one of the things that birthed out of that is our Jedi Council. When we talk about Jedi, if you've ever seen Star Wars, but we call it justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion. And so there was a statistic that we ran that was from a survey that said 75% of white people don't have a meaningful relationship with a person of color. And man, the more we said that, the more there were people like Karen to say, hey, Coach Kemp, that's me. And I don't want to be that way anymore. And so there was a group of people that have been meeting together, believe it or not, for the past 18 months, once a month. We actually meet now twice a month because they're just excited about what's happening going on. And what we've been able to do from that platform is not only have we been able to create relationships between people from different cultures and ethnicities, but also different religions, from the standpoint of different generationally, but also gender-wise. And we created what we call kind of our encounter metrics, to where each one of them had to do a one-on-one lunch or breakfast with each other. Like, it's easy to meet on the screen and in a group, but what are you going to do when you got to meet one-on-one with each other? And so these group of people, it's about 8 to 10 people, have been faithful to do this. And as Karen said, we just went through cultural humility. It was a workshop that's done. The author is James Knight, who now we partner with him to do these workshops here in Akron, because he's only one person. He can't be everywhere at one time. So we're going to be partnering him to do it. But also tomorrow, our Jedi Council is going to be on Love Akron Live, which is going to host our first Connection versus Collision. And that's started at 12. So it's going to start at 12. So Karen's going to be on there. So please come on and support. She's super nervous, but she has no reason to be, because she's going to do great. Wednesday. Yeah.
Wednesday, and it's on the Love Akron Facebook page.
Yeah. It'll be Facebook Live. Nobody has to register. That kind of gets in the way.
We have a question over here from Dan O'Connell.
Yeah, hi, a very inspirational talk, it was wonderful. Didn't give a hard pitch for money, so you may have seen me checking my phone here. I was looking at your website, actually.
Yes.
And there's very convenient ways if one of us wants to get on the website, a monthly kind of thing.
Yes, absolutely.
And is there a real need for money, or are you looking more for volunteers?
Well, yeah, for both. Thank you for bringing that up. You get a gold star today. Yes, there is a real need for money for us. For us to be able to do the things that we're doing, it takes money for us to do it. We're not a big shop, but at the same time, we have to get bigger in order to really perform the things that Akron needs us to perform. So you can go onto our website. We have to give, and you can be a monthly reoccurring giver. If you do that, you'll be a part of our giving team. Everybody wants to be on the team, right?
Are you a 501c3?
We are, yes, sir. Yes, sir, we are. So please, yes, loveakron.org. If you hit give, it'll give you all the different things. Please be a monthly giver. Or you can just be a great $20,000 giver if you got it. That'd be great too. I'm not gonna throw those out either.
We have a question from Hugh.
You work with a wonderful pastor, Brian Kunkler.
Yes, sir.
And I have known him for many years at the chapel, and now he's just so wonderful with young people. He relates, and so I just wanted to comment on that.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying it. Yeah, that's my brother. We get the opportunity to lead a church together. So that's always a good time. And yeah, he's just about as good with young people as I am, because he's got 5 kids and I got 6. Putting together, we got us a team. We got something going on. Sure. Appreciate your words though. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions in person or online?
I have a question.
Right, hang on, Steve.
So Kemp, I think you said that for 2.5 years, you've been heading up Love Akron. You took it over from Mark Ford, who
Yes.
I guess was the
Founding executive director.
The founding executive director. So a transition of that nature can be most challenging.
Absolutely.
And I'm curious that with what he had built and what he had established, and then the board making the decision for you to take the reins, how has that been? And what would you say in building off of what was established, the focus, because you, in spending time with you, you branched it out, you've widened it.
Yep.
Can you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, what came before me was, I think it was great. And I think the one thing that I learned was this is not a competition with the past. It's just not. But Pastor Ford himself told me, he's like, hey, Kim, if you don't change something, then you're crazy. And so the one thing I think it started with is saying that, hey, we just need to love Akron. We need to go from being a noun to a verb. And two, just because of our faith and our belief, what I believe is I think that we're called to love our neighbors, not just people who believe the way we believe. And so I kind of launched into that to say, hey, we need to expand just beyond churches, because doing that, we wasn't sustainable financially, just wasn't. And there were some people that wasn't happy about that, obviously, and that walked away. So my first year was really tough because donations were down. We lost a lot of money. And, you know, even this past year, it was hard just because, you know, I'm a Christian, man. I love Jesus. But I don't want to be Christian exclusive to where I only work with people that believe the way I believe. I don't think that's what I'm called to. I don't think that's who Jesus was. And so I just choose not to go that route. And now that's been challenged, and that ain't been easy. And I've been trying, I've been tested, and Doug knows this because I've cried on Doug's shoulders a lot of days. But what I found is when you stand on your beliefs and your being and who you are, man, God comes in like a mighty flood, man, and he brings about favor, and he brings about supporters, and he brings about brothers like yourself who say, hey, man, you didn't say anything about giving. Absolutely, because hopefully you will hear my heart, because somebody told me, a wise man told me, Kim, if you go and ask for money, people's going to give you advice, but if you go and ask for advice, people will give you money. I don't know who that was, but he might be in this room. But I try to lead that way, brother. I just try to function and lead in that perspective, because I think it's just the God thing to do. I really do. And I know some of that can be uncomfortable, but I think God has built me and he called me for such a time as this to lead this organization. Because here's the bottom line for all of us. If we do not evolve, we will evaporate. That's the bottom line. If we don't evolve, we'll evaporate. And I think as an organization, we needed to evolve, not from a place of competing with the old, but it's about, okay, God, who do you want us to be at this time in our city, in our county, so that way you can be glorified and we can do all the great things you want us to do. And so that's kind of been our mindset about it and our mantra about it. And there's been some great people who have come around it. And honestly, Steve, that have saw it and understand the vision and appreciate it. Because we're not, if you will, Christian exclusive. We just want to love people. Because loving Akron is loving everything and everybody in Akron. It ain't just a particular group of people. Yes. Yeah.
Thank you. Let me give this back to you, David.
That's it. My man. Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, man. Good to see you.
Yes, the raffle. Kemp, can you do me one favor?
Yeah.
If I can find my raffles over here. Just a minute. I have to draw a winner for our raffle.
Oh, man. Yes.
You're gonna make one person happy, Kemp.
Oh, man.
And many more.
Yes. I'm kind of used to that. It's 8 of us in our house, so.
Can't make them all happy.
Yeah, that's right.
Pick a ticket out of there.
Oh, man. Okay.
All right. Our winning number.
227 897. 227 897.
897. Oh, gosh. My ticket here. Will you have that?
Whoever was right after me.
897. Thank you very much. That's
All right, well, thank you. Well, it's been a great day. And thank you, Kemp, for sharing with us, and excited to see what's happening in our city. There's a lot of good life that is beginning to flow. And those walls, if you want to call them, of separation that have kept us from working most effectively as one, have been coming down, and just to be able to see folks preferring one another. But having Kemp has been a tremendous blessing. And one thing that you can say for sure about him is he's not afraid to get into the trenches and to work really, really hard. And I need to ask you, when you were in high school, I'm going to guess you played football.
Yes, sir.
And what position?
Oh, man, I played running back and linebacker.
Running back and linebacker. All right, you went both ways. So being captain of the football team. Well, we knew you were a hustler. But I want to thank everyone for attending today, and go enjoy the rest of your week. And you know, next week when we gather, it's March. So winter, we're going to be saying goodbye to, and soon, and very soon, spring. Hello. Have a great week. Hey, Kemp, can we get a picture? Christine?